Good afternoon, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Crone Zone Conversations with the Ancients. My name's Priscilla, and Heather's down below today. And our friend Mary Helen Schmidt is here from Texas. She's joining us from Texas. She is our animal communicator, and we're delighted to have you here today, Mary Helen. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
So, you know, I don't know, on Saturday shows, do you do cards, Heather? Do you open up with the cards?
On
No.
Saturday, usually
I think
no.
that's a no, because I just
Oh,
totally.
not usually. I mean, sometimes I do, but we were busy, so I didn't get them out. But if you want me to get them out, I will do that.
I would love for you to throw some cards for today. Hey, Akila. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to be talking to our friend, Mary Helen, about animal communication. And she's even going to do a demo on Xena, which will be fun. And show you kind of her process. So I think that's going to be fascinating. Hi, Amanda Carroll. And then we'll get a little background on you. But Heather normally throws cards for the show, just as a general reading for the show. Okay. But I forgot it's Saturday. We don't do that normally. How's everybody out there in the chat? How's your Saturday? It's beautiful here, but it's supposed to, we're supposed to have storms tomorrow. Lots of rain and storms. What's the weather in Texas like?
It's cold.
Cold?
We had a front come through and it's chill and the sun's shining, but it's chilly.
Yeah.
But it'll be warming up a little bit tomorrow and the next day.
Right. You all right, Heather? Oh, it snowed where Akila is.
It snowed.
Yeah, Xena's going to be on in a minute.
Yeah, I went out last night with her, and the whole sidewalk was like black ice.
Oh, wow.
Steps and I was down.
That's not fun.
No.
Oh, but dry in Seattle.
Yeah.
I didn't think Seattle was ever dry. I thought that was one of the wettest places in the States.
I would agree with this, saying that we are in a storm right now.
We are. And a magnetic storm from the sun.
Magnetic storm. So things keep shifting. And so we think we're doing something, and then it makes it difficult. And meanwhile, our higher self is offering up prayers. And of course, we still retain all our gifts. Our human still has all our gifts. It's just that everything is shifting all the time. And the storm, the storm is actually helping us.
Accelerating our
everything shifting. It's slowing things down a little bit. And I said, just try to keep everything simple. And if you can, if you keep things simple, then if you need to change your mind, you're able to.
Right.
Because with all the shifts that are happening through the storm, it's sometimes very difficult if you just stay in one.
And astrologically, we're going through a lot of shifts right now. So
exactly. So we are changing our mind because we're going through a lot of dark work and getting rid of stuff. So our minds are changing, but we need to keep things simple so that we can go ahead and do that.
Great reading.
We're moving up.
Thanks. That was great. Hey, Lark. So, Mary Helen, would you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Okay. So there's a lot of people that do animal communication, and they do it differently. And just as I'm sure your audience knows, you have people have a lot of ways of perceiving things, perceiving energy, perceiving whatever, but it's through your senses, through your clairaudience, your, all of those clairs. And so everyone that does animal communication, or whether you're a psychic or whether you're doing other types of work, you use those avenues of information, and some come up differently for some people than others. So typically for me, I feel the information. I have to explain it in that I feel the words, or I feel the situation, and I may see it in my mind's eye, yet a lot of it comes from within and comes up, and it's almost as if I just let the animals direct me where it needs to go, because bottom line is, when communicating with any animal, is you want to, um, just be open, neutral, listening, and just say, "I'm here to, hear what you have to say about that." And a lot of times, if you just get out of the way and let that flow in, and it can come in many different ways. So I find that a lot of people expect it has to be words, and many times for many people, it's not words, it's a feeling, and that's all you need to
So
know.
you're not really clairvoyant. You don't actually see things either.
I
I
don't.
feel the
I don't
words.
really see
I
But
feel
you
the words too, and I never knew how to put
Yeah.
it. And the way you said, I feel the words, I'm like, oh, that's
Mhm.
it. I feel the picture.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
see it, but I feel the picture.
yeah,
And
you
what
just
that does
know.
is when you feel the picture,
Uh-huh.
it fills
Turns it
in
in.
with a lot of
Yeah.
information. When you
Mhm.
check in with an animal, you can just say, "Hey, tell me about yourself." That opens up a door that they're like, "Oh, somebody's here to hear whatever I wanna bring up," you know? So,
Mhm.
yeah,
Do you get that feeling
that's
a
how
lot
it
that you're
works for me.
excited somebody's asking them how they feel? The animals?
What's that again?
Do you get that a lot that the animals are like, "Oh, yeah, somebody can talk to me."
I don't perceive it that way necessarily. I just feel them being, uh excited. I feel the
Mhm.
energy, like, open up, like, sometimes they'll be really, like you'll say, like, you'll get a download, and for me, I always give them so much credit for being so good at what they do, and I have to keep up, and sometimes they're, like, very, very, very busy, and I'm like, "Whoa, slow down for me. I can't keep up," because they're showing me pictures, they're showing me different things,
Mhm.
but for me to make it coherent to explain to their human, um, it is different sometimes, and also focusing on, again, sometimes the information comes in like that because 'cause they're just excited. They're very happy to have that opportunity. So,
Mhm. And
yeah.
how long have you been doing animal communication?
No, I literally started taking classes. That's how I learned to do this. I wish I was one of those people that did that as a kid, but you know what? That wasn't my path, and I started taking classes probably around 2006, and
Mhm.
so then I began, doing all kinds of work in that, so doing case studies, I set goals for myself to do because I was, very afraid of doing it wrong, I have this whole confidence thing anyway. So, working at doing the very things that I was the most afraid of,
Mhm.
which was in front of someone else, going to a live event where the person and their
Oh, I
animals are.
totally understand
And I
that.
forced myself to do that, and I went to several events, and nobody came to the table, and I was like, "Whew, I'm so glad." You know, I was
Got out
so
of that
afraid,
one.
okay, what
Fun at
happens if
those
I have a customer? Oh, what good. What if I happens if I don't have a customer? Okay, good. So, working through that, it just took a lot of practice and just continuing. So, probably 15 years of being
Mhm.
more, doing it for people and their animal companions. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, let me just tell the chat, I first met Mary Helen when I had a wellness center in Texas,
yeah.
and she would come to, my wellness fairs. In fact, that's how I met Heather as well.
Yeah. That was a
Yes.
long time ago.
That was
Very.
2000. I opened it in 2010. It went from 2010 to 15 till
Yeah.
David died. Yeah.
Mhm.
So Mary Helen used to come to my psychic fairs that I would have several times a year. It was always a lot of fun too.
It was fun.
You can have fun even if you don't have clients.
Oh,
True.
absolutely, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, psychic fairs are just fun, period.
They are.
Let me just say hi to Lark and Viviani. I'm so glad you guys are here. Viviani is an animal communicator as well,
Nice.
and she wants to start that kind of business. So
Mhm.
maybe you could even, if there's any hints in starting an animal communication business, what would they be?
Oh, that's a big question, but I think just starting out with continuing your practice. So, because you feel that puts you in a more of a comfort zone. You become more adept at handling situations.
For
And then
sure.
other things don't seem as big or bad or scary or whatever, because you've got a little bit of that under your belt by just practicing with people's animals. And if you're at the point where you're doing it for others, it's more about setting goals and, getting a website so that people can find you, having cards where you can get those out. You can go to animal related businesses. I would offer that there's a lot more interest in it now than there ever. When I first started, it was people did not know what this was. They didn't, it was no. I mean, it's still to a certain extent in some industries, or for example, like I used to work as a vet tech. And so that's what kind of got me going in this direction, because I could feel like there was more going on than met the eye. It wasn't just this. It wasn't just this kind of infection. It wasn't just this kind of situation. There was more going on. And so then having realized that I could do this, like I said, classes were just huge for me. And then doing that and practicing and doing case studies, and having somebody help me work through that, having another person for the lady you're talking about, Priscilla, having someone who's a sounding board,
Right.
who can give you feedback that's valid. It's not, because when you're wrong, or when you're right, you're right. It's more about like acknowledging it and then going back in and examining, like, okay, I went this direction. Maybe I should go this with an animal. For example, I used to have a black poodle, and she was ill. She had been ill, and I just knew it was her stomach. I knew that was going on, and I'd had her x-rayed and nothing was whatever. And then I had a friend who was an animal communicator. I asked her, I was like, can you check in with her? See what she would show you. Cause I really couldn't, my feeling was the stomach. I knew that because of some of her obvious symptoms, but I wasn't able to tap in. So
it's hard with our own animals.
Oh, it is. It is very hard with your own. I mean, some people are very good at it
when they're ill.
Oh yeah, totally. And so I asked her to check in, and she's like, I don't really get anything. And I'm like, I said, so ask her what she likes to do when she's having fun. Oh, then it was all good. She would just blah, 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 blah. She didn't want to go there. She didn't really want to focus on that. I think I knew it was just a matter of like, just do it. Because I was hedging on actually having exploratory surgery. And I was hedging about it because I kept thinking, okay, I don't really want to jump into that. But as soon as I did, it was amazing, because she had plastic in her stomach from some kind of inner toy or something. I didn't.
Oh, wow.
I knew
so they did the surgery and she was okay?
Yeah, she was great. Oh, yeah. And the best part of that story was that I had the 3 pieces of blue plastic on a square of gauze. Oh, and she had a little wire, a tiny little piece of wire on her stomach. It had gone through. It was weird. Wow. Anyway, so I had that sitting on the table to show my husband when he got home. My beagle came over and ate it. Ate the whole thing. And I don't know why. I mean, like, really? But it was fine. She passed it. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. But for me, my poodle was it was more for her to be like, you already know what it is. Get on with it.
Right.
We don't need to chit chat about it. It was more like just.
Sometimes they're just smarter than us, aren't they?
Oh, gosh, yes. They know so much.
My mind.
They're so aware.
Isn't that right? If you guys would like to ask Mary Helen any questions, please put them in caps with emojis, and I'll be sure to ask her. And what else did we talk about yesterday?
Just about unusual cases, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
About animals' perceptions of us and animals' perceptions of themselves.
I'd love to know what the animals' perceptions.
Yeah. Do you want to do Xena and get it over with, and then we can just go into all that?
We can do that. We can do that.
Okay,
let me check in with her.
She's going to do a demo. So she's going to do a demo with Xena.
Oh, okay. So what I normally do is I ask her the animal's. This is the best way I can describe it. I don't know how it developed this way, but for me to have their name, their breed, their color, their age, and their gender is about like you on your cell phone calling me. Like I'm calling them up with that
Makes
information.
sense. It's
Yeah.
what
So
you need.
that's
I mean,
what
what
it
do you
is.
need for astrology?
So
You need
just
your
what
birth
her
date
name,
and
you said Zena. So what kind of dog is she? How old is she? Is her gender and her age? I guess that's kind of it. So
simple.
got those things. So and you had told me that just before, so I know I've got that on a piece of paper. So that's her phone
When
number
we
to
were
me.
backstage.
And
She's
and
laying
so
down at your feet, so I kind of hate to bother
yeah.
her.
Yeah, she likes being there with you in the studio. And did you have a question for her?
Yeah, I was asking about what she's saying when she sometimes barks at me, or she gets up, turns around, and looks at me if I'm coughing badly.
Okay. So let me feel into that. So I'm my energy is going to Zena, just saying, hey, I'm here. I don't always have to introduce myself because sometimes they just go. And but sometimes they do need that. So I'm saying I'm Mary Helen, and I'm wanting to know a little bit more about that. And I know you love Heather. And so what is it that you're trying to tell her with the barking when she's
Right.
coughing? And first thing is she wants to make sure you're okay. I mean, it's you're not getting air.
I know.
That's what I just felt that immediately. You're not getting any air. And she's highly concerned about that. Like, trying to get your attention so that you're not, because it feels like it's very repetitive, like coughing, and it gets triggered and you can't stop. And she is very concerned about that. So that's the feeling of her as being like, are you okay? And you need to get air and do something different. And let's, like she wants to help. And in her way is making that, the barking, like to get that across to you. Like, are you okay? Are you okay? It's kind of like we do that when we have a person coughing, don't we? We do that. We'll go, are you okay? And you want to pat them on the back. And that's her kind of the energetic patting you on the back, telling her she's concerned and wants to take care of you in that respect. So I'm asking her, is there something that she can offer to you about the coughing that would be something you need to know? And she shows me that there's something like it's tickly. It feels very ticklish. When you get started, it tickles and you can't stop. And she's saying you need to get something for the tickle in your chest because that's what's triggering it. And once you can stop that, it probably will help a lot. But she said it does go more in. So some animals know stuff and some don't know stuff, but she's showing me there's more lung involvement in that way. And you need to get that looked at because there's more lung. It's also tickling in the lower part of your lung too. It's not just up here. It's down lower in your lungs. And to get that clear, like either an inhaler or a whatever the doctor would, but it's not just here, it's lower down too. There's inflammation. So that's what she's showing me about that.
Well, Dr. Zena, thank you.
I know.
Go to the doctor, Heather.
I know. I got to get all my scripts redone too. So
yes, I mean that came up the other day with a lady that she had a dog that was in training. I'm trying to think. I don't have to know all the things, but for whatever reason, the dog had been with her and this trainer together. And when the dog was telling me how she liked the trainer, she liked, all the energy, she liked the work, she liked to learn. And then, so this is the best way I can describe it. I sometimes see the image of them, how they would be if they were here with me. And so she was almost looking like at the guy, the trainer. And it was like looking like through him almost. And I was like, oh, she's concerned about his health. I didn't know what it was. I wasn't supposed to know anything, but I knew the woman knew him very, very, very well. I wouldn't be ethically, I don't want to, we don't tell people stuff if we don't have permission, but I knew that she and he were very closely connected with the training of this dog and another dog that she had. And they were very, very good friends.
Right.
And she said, she goes, I will ask him about that. I said, would you just be very mindful? I don't want to. Anyway, she said, I talked to him. She said, he has a doctor's appointment, but he can't get in for 3 months. And I don't know what it's about. And I said, but she said, but he's going to call and get in sooner. I was like, good.
What is with these wait
They
times?
they have like,
ridiculous.
they're super dog. They have x-ray vision sometimes, they know
That's
our
really
heart
fascinating.
and our body and our energy. Yes.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you want to ask
So-
Zena?
Most
I-
of the time I can
Go
figure it
ahead,
out.
Heather.
No, I was going to say most of the times I can figure out. Although
Oh, good.
sometimes she just, yips or makes little complaining sounds.
Well,
and
let
I'm
me
going,
ask her
"What do you
something.
want?"
Let me ask her something. If she can tell me something that you don't know. That's
Okay.
one thing you can, like, just to say, is there something you want to tell her that she doesn't know or isn't aware of? She says you like the phone a lot, talk on the phone a lot. And she said that's your way of having connection. You miss some of the things that you did, some of the people that you knew. You miss those connections. And it's sad. It makes you kind of sad. And she wants you to know and that's one reason why she's with you, because to help you with that. Because it's almost like being homesick for something and you're having to adjust. And she knows that's difficult for you. And so she wants you to understand that that's why she's there, to help you with that. So,
Oh, that is so beautiful, Heather.
Well, you know what they're talking about.
I do. I know exactly what she's talking about.
good. Because obviously Zeta knows too. So.
I knew that was one smart cookie of a dog.
Oh, she is. She's on it.
She's precious.
Oh, she
Well,
is.
they're noted to be the second smartest dog.
Right. But I want to tell you, it has nothing to do with intelligence. I'm telling you.
I know.
It
She
doesn't.
does.
You know that. So it's because they are so good at knowing what they need to do with their person. They are so good at connecting with them because that's some of their purpose. Animals have their own mission. They have their own journeys in
Sure.
life. And what we sometimes don't understand or think, because we think they're just here for us, that's not necessarily true. But when we have a really beautiful connection with them and we understand that they have their own choices and they also choose to have life with us, it works out so nicely.
Mhm.
There's a young lady that called me about her horse the other day, and it was the sweetest connection. He was an older horse, but he was pretty fit, and she worked with him, did whatever sport she did, and she wanted to know, like, oh, well, I'm thinking I probably should retire him. And I felt it like, no, don't do that to me. Like, he didn't want to retire. He wanted to
Oh.
still enjoy going. He wanted to go with her. He loves being, getting the ribbons and getting the whatever. And it was so cool because I said, is there something in between? Because it was a pretty tough sport that she did. And I said, is there something in between? She goes, absolutely there is. She said he just wanted her to know how much he enjoyed the environment. He loved seeing other horses. And he also liked showing up the other horses.
I love that. That's so cute.
He wasn't a regular,
Winning.
there's certain breeds that certain sports use, and he wasn't the regular breed for that sport. But he said, but he shows them up all the time. And she said, that's absolutely true about people expecting him to be XYZ, and he blows them away.
Oh, I love
So
that story.
yeah, it was such a good session. It was such a good story because he wanted to still participate. He
Mhm.
wanted to still be present, although he did show me that at the end, like one of the things that she did, he would get tired towards the end of it, and he
Mhm.
knew he didn't have quite the endurance. But
Right.
a lot of this was based on the fact that he felt it was so beautiful because he felt like he wanted to keep her as safe as possible.
That's
And that
beautiful.
he knew that if he got tired, he might not be at his best, and he didn't
Right.
want to endanger her. And
Endanger.
the other thing he offered at the end, because she did ask me if it was okay if she rode other horses. And I got yes from him right away. And that I said there was one horse that I felt, I don't always get names or things, but I get an image from the animal of what they might look like. I said, there's a larger dark one, but he's showing me whatever you do not ride this lighter colored, and it was a gelding. And because I felt male and I felt it was a very much lighter color. I said, maybe like a dun, like a buckskin, something like that. And she goes, oh, like, well, I wouldn't ride him. There's a horse out there where he lives and he's mean. So well, he just wants to make sure you never, ever get on that horse.
Wow.
You know, so it was just, he loves her so very much and wanted to really
What a
take this.
beautiful connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a beautiful. I had a
was a
miniature
very cool
stallion
person.
in England, and he loved to show.
Cool.
He'd walk around with his head down, but the minute he entered that ring,
Yep.
he was such a ham bone. It was ridiculous. I
Yes.
mean, he would be drudging up. But that head would go up and he would strut. It was hilarious to watch.
That's awesome. Cool.
So what about, does Xena is she happy that she has everything that she needs?
Let me ask if she's got everything she needs. The first feel of it is that there's that lack for Heather, because that Heather is her person, and she's almost like a medical alert dog. That's that thing with the barking and the coughing. She really checks into your health. So if she ever gets up on you for no reason at all, you better pay attention. Like, just go like, okay, I better make sure. What's my blood pressure? What, do I have a fever? Whatever. Right. But she's very, very.
When I'm sleeping, I will wake up and she's sleeping on my chest. I know she's doing it to make sure I'm breathing.
Yeah, she's good. She's very much a caretaker. And so let me ask her, that's her big thing, to make sure that I understand, you understand through me. And then as far as her being happy, she wants it to be where you're happy. So there's a very beautiful thing that we as people, I don't, maybe this isn't the best example, but when we think of being happy, we could go like, oh, I really want that cupcake. That would make me so happy. But after you eat the cupcake, then are you not happy anymore? Because you don't have another cupcake, or do you eat another cupcake? But with them, it's so much more long. It's the duration, it's the trip, it's the journey, it's the life that they share. So they know there's the ups and downs. They know that there's the pieces of that. It's not everything's just perfect the way you want it at every moment of every day. But for her wanting you to be, she just says you just need a whole lot more going on. Like you want to be busy. You want to be out gardening, or whatever this is. But I feel like it's involving rocks and flowers and whatever, but it feels like you need to be doing something that's really good for you, being out in nature. And so right now, apparently you live in Denver, so that's a little bit probably more challenging right now. But once the weather warms, you'll be able to do that. And so I'm also assuring her that will come. And so do you have plants in your house?
Yes.
You have. Okay, good. Because I also see things that are blooming in your house, So you want to make sure that you have blooming things, like geraniums in the window, like that. So that makes her happy as far as when you're happy.
Yeah. I have these lilies. I haven't done it for a long time, because a lot of the grocery stores here don't carry flowers, but I like to just bring flowers home.
Yes.
But
I see flowers.
Don't have them.
Right.
Well,
but bring some home from the grocery store.
Huh?
Go to the grocery store, bring some home.
Yep,
just bring some from
the grocery store.
Oh, they don't? Oh, okay.
All right. Not the ones that, because I've checked, my daughter works at one, and it's a natural food place, and they don't have any flowers there. And because I checked. And the other stores are so far away, I usually have stuff delivered because I can't walk that far.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, just know that when you're able to.
You can get flowers delivered from the grocery store too, because I have.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you just need to just type in at the top, search and florist. Like King Supers will have them.
Okay. Because that's
And they
where
might even have geraniums, and geraniums smell good and they're easy to grow indoors.
Yes, yes. So good.
well,
That
Yeah,
would
she
be
just
fun.
shows
And
me
it would
that
make
really
Zena
makes her heart
happy.
happy. Yeah. It makes you happy and it makes her happy. And that's happy. You know what I mean? It's fulfilling, in other words,
Mhm.
more so than just a brief, I'll give you a dog biscuit and that makes you happy. Certainly they love that. But it's the greater and bigger picture that they understand and know. So yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. Anything else for Miss Zena?
Let me see. She's good at the way I feel her. So when I imagined her and her energy, and then she felt like she led me, she was leading me. So it would be like, leading you to bed, telling you when it's time to go to bed. When
She
it's time to
does
do
that.
this. She does that.
does.
She's good at directing. She's a good director. So she's
She
very
is.
good at that. So she just wants you to know she does that, and you know it, but we don't always verbalize or are aware that they find that to be an important part of their job, to direct, to help you, because she's really there to be on that level. They aren't always here to serve or
Mhm.
be there for us or do things for us, but they're all different. Every animal is different, and she has such a kind heart. um,
Oh, yeah. She loves everybody.
yes, and so
She's
it's really
They
about
love
that.
her.
brilliant.
I mean,
she
even if they don't pet her, I have a lot of people that ask if they can. I said definitely, but there's they even if they kind of ignore her, when you walk by them when I'm walking her, you can tell they're feeling
Yeah.
better because they got to see
Oh,
her.
yeah, yeah. She's got
Yeah.
good vibes. She definitely puts out good vibes. So
She does.
Yeah.
She's great.
she makes the world a better place.
Yes, she does.
Absolutely.
She does. She's precious. No doubt
Yes.
about it.
Mhm.
Okay, I have a
Yeah.
quick question. Do you want to answer questions about people's animals in the chat
I
room?
I can give it a go and see if I,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
let's see what
We
happens.
have one, but I think we're going to have to ask for additional information. Tina,
Probably.
can you tell us what kind of dog he is, and what else do you need to know?
Age and breed and color.
Age, breed, and color. Let me put it in the
Like,
chat.
and if it's male or female too. That helps.
Yeah.
Age, breeds, color, sex.
Mhm.
Anything else?
That's probably good for now.
Okay. So let's see if that goes through. Yep.
Yeah.
She will, Mary Helen will give you information on your animal if you'd
We'll just
like.
do a quick little check-in.
Yeah, she can do a quick check-in, but be sure and send your request
Mhm.
and tell us the age, breed, color, and sex. Can you do that,
So I
Tina?
see that now. So it's Cody. And I can't quite tell because the little thumbnail
All it
sketches.
says is Cody.
Yeah.
Hi, checking in on my dog Cody. How is he doing? Does he want to say anything at this time to me? He's
Okay.
7-year-old male, tricolor brown, tan, and white. He is a mix of Dachshund and Chihuahua. Thanks, Tina.
Okay, good. All right. Let me fill in with him. And it's Cody.
And that's him in the picture.
Got it. It's hard to see, but I can kind of make it out.
In the
So,
cute.
Tina, let me ask Cody what he'd like to bring up or otherwise and see what. I just look and like virtually, like I don't normally have pictures. A lot of times I don't have pictures of an animal, or I don't go by the photos because I connect with the energy of their name. Oh, he's very important. He says he's very, very important. It's so the flow of him, it's like, I am so important in her life. Like he's very proud of himself. Very like I'm a very important part of the family. I do sometimes will ask if there's other human beings in the household and if there's other animals, because that gives us a balance of the energies in the home. But just filling in with him, he knows he's an important part of the family. Either how small or larger the family is.
So
He's
cute.
And he, so hold on. So this, I just have to, I'm like touching in little areas. So it's more like, what else would you like her to know? There's something about doors, like opening the door, either he charges out. Again, this is kind of not, since I don't have her and I don't hear her voice, and there's a lot of energy with that. But there's something about doors being triggered by doors. So meaning either somebody knocking on the door or like that, but there's something about the door that's like, really gets his interest. He's very like, the door's opening. So whether that means for the pantry or whether that means for the front door, that someone is at the front door, but that's, he notices doors, like doorways. And so, let me ask him how if everything's good for him. Because that's why, and here's another thing. This is why with photos, I don't normally want photos, because in that photo, he's laying down, he's got his head, he's real comfortable, but that doesn't mean he's always like that. I want to know how he is normally.
Yeah.
And I feel him as being very alert, very on. Like, I'm the watchdog. I'm the person who watches out for things. I watch out for them. So that's why I said you can look at a picture and be thinking it's because you're thinking. You don't want to be thinking.
You're thinking, not
out of your head. And you want to be in your heart or in your body. And so it's very important to do that. So I'm just showing, and he does like to snuggle. I feel that as well, that feeling of him being comfortable. He loves that relationship, that situation. I don't know if there's other animals. Sometimes they can tell me, but a lot of times that just goes along with the intro for me to know more about them. So yeah, right. So that's Cody.
That is so cute.
He's cute in that picture. Very.
Okay, then Amanda Carroll has Jack, who's 3. He's a Chihuahua, Chow, and other small breeds mix. Male, tawny caramel color, looks like a fox. Wait, but before you go there, she says, spot on. He guards the front door and movement around it. Spot on. He is high alert, guarding every leaf that drops out of a tree. Yes, he loves to snuggle no other animals. Thanks, Tina. That's brilliant.
Thank you for that. Yes. So, okay, with Jack, Chihuahua Chow, and other breeds, caramel looks like a fox. So I guess a little longer haired. And what's his person's name? Amanda. Okay. All right. Let me see what comes up with Jack. His energy is very different to me, the feel of him. So I asked Jack if, like, can you flow your energy? Can you show me who you are? Show me your essence. And I felt him being calmer, very much calmer than Cody, and calmer and more sedate, even though he's young. He looks like he's 3. So it looks like he's got at some part of him is a little more mellow, a little more not as
he's
on.
Chill. He's just chill.
More chill. And serious too. Jack is serious. So when he does things, he takes them seriously with great consideration. I want to ask him if there's something he wants Amanda to know.
She says, yes, he's very chill.
Okay, good. He shows me like Amanda is like, the feeling of you, Amanda, is that you're very good at I don't know if it's just totally organized or it's compartmentalized, but you're good at putting things together. So we could say you might be good at the big picture. So he just shows me that you're good at evaluating things like you think. He says you're a deep thinker. You really think about things when you want to do them. And there's a great amount of consideration when you do them. So it's a lot like him. He also can mirror that energy because he thinks that's the best way to do it, to do it like Amanda. So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's the feeling of it. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Anybody else have an animal they would like to? She says he's very chill. Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I know we talked about something, Priscilla, too, that might be interesting because a lot of animals will just flow in that space. They know, I'm here. I'd like to hear a little something about you. I can send love to you. I can be, I know your person wants to know about you and it's fun. And then there's sometimes like there's difficult things and there's difficult cases, there's difficult situations. And I think one of the ones I had written down was like when you don't, like what happens when you don't connect very well with an animal, or if it's problematic, or if you feel something's off. And, I've had that happen. And I usually have to, again, that's kind of like when I described my friend that was checking in with my poodle, because she wasn't getting anything until we switched gears to the fun quotient, the fun factor.
Right.
Then she's all good for that. So I did have an event that I went to that was like a rescue put on the event. And a man, I don't get a lot of men, that want to connect with their dogs or find out more. I mean, they just more like, I need to know. I know everything I need to know. Okay, fine, great. You don't need that. But he came and sat down, and he was this big guy. And it was a little bit like, let's see what you can do. Like, it was a little bit daring, and I don't necessarily enjoy that. Nobody really does.
None of us do. It happens.
So it does happen. So I asked him, same thing, the dog's name, breed, color, and this dog was in spirit. So I asked her and about this connection, and I was like getting a solid brick wall. It was just boom, like nothing.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, this is weird. I don't know what to do with this. And I said, you just have to be honest. I just said, I'm not getting anything. Do you have another dog? Because what I'll do is I'll check in with your other dog, tell them they can speak up or whatever, and if they can help me with that situation. So he gave me a different dog that he had, and this one was here on this side. And the dog was very friendly, very much more open. And the dog, however, I don't remember exactly how it was conveyed to me, but it was almost like, like the dog himself couldn't get near that dog. I was like, oh, you couldn't get near the dog either.
Wow.
Oh. So then I asked the man, I said, okay, I think we can do this, but there's a big block. I said, is there a reason why your dog, I couldn't be near you with your dog? And he just kind of laughed and goes, well, my wife couldn't even sit on the couch with me with this dog next to him, because she was that protective of him.
Wow.
That like, nobody gets near him. And I'm like, okay. So then I asked her more about what she did for him. And then it flowed nicely. It was more about taking care of him. She guarded him all the time. And it was pretty extreme, actually. And then, but she also told me, she gave me an image of him coming home, coming in the door. And she gave me this image of him walking in, and he had like, it looked like smoke, dark smoke, puffs of smoke behind him, behind his back. Like either he had a lot of burdens, like he may have had a lot of burdens, it could be people that are really, you don't like to work with, and they're, you don't like them, whatever. But I had a feeling it was just different. I said, tell me more about that. Why is that important to you to show me that? And she was like, because I want him to know that when the hair on the back of his neck comes up, like she wanted him to know that she was there to protect him, that she was still doing that.
Wow.
Super duper
From the other side.
Yeah, from the other side. And so I'm like, okay, what does he do that he's got to be worried with the hair coming up on the back of his neck? So I said, okay, I have to ask. I mean, what do you do for a living? He said he was a paranormal investigator.
He was very dark.
That makes a lot of sense. Wow. So you want to be really careful, and she wants you to understand that you can have this stuff carrying with you, and to get that off at the door before you enter your home, because you may not be aware of it, but she knows they're there, and she doesn't like them. She doesn't like it that they're close to him. So that's why I said you can have an unusual, those are very unusual circumstances. That doesn't happen very often. Most of the time animals convey how loving how much they care for their people. I ask them how they show their person, how they love them. I'll
Right.
get them on
That's a
them,
good question.
connected, or even down by their feet and not moving, or staying with them, or being their companion, or being their constant, or they're faithful, like loyal. Because we forget that we think animals have to love us by being all up in our business, but that's not love to them. Love is the shared connection and the energy. So some animals can love us very much, and they don't have to be glued to us. They can be sitting over there and they're
That's why I
exuding.
prefer cats to dogs. They're not in your face all the time needing to
Yeah,
feed.
yeah, because we do that. That's some of our stuff, and that goes along with a lot of things with animal communication too. I did find that when your person asked about the tips for being a communicator, it really means you have to dive deep into your own stuff, into your own shadow, into your own issues, because you will get triggered, and you have to realize that when you want to be there
ego out of it.
right,
You
it's
have
ego.
to be able to keep that ego out of it.
It's your opinion. It's your whatever. You really have to, like somebody else. I tell people when I'm talking to them, because they get very worried that I'm going to judge them, and
Right.
like I'll tell them. I said, look, if you tell me you feed this brand that's not very good, fine. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to, if that comes up and we want to improve that, then I'll ask the dog what they like more. But I'm not here to run you down, because what does that do? The animal isn't going to enjoy that very much. If I'm taking
no, of course not, because they love their person.
they love
so
that
much.
person,
They don't want
and
their
if
person
I'm being a little harsh, they might be a little bit,
not talking to
even.
you, lady.
Well, yeah, because it's more like, I want you to love them too, like me.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why I enjoy so much what I do, because I do like people, and I like their animals too. And so it works out good. I remember an event, it really cute a little girl came to my table, and she was asking me questions, and I figured, well, just talk to your dog. She had a little Chihuahua. And so I was talking to her, and she was saying she lived at home, and her grandparents lived with her, and blah, 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 and the little dog. And then she said, well, how does she think, what about grandpa or something? And like just wanting to know more about him, or some strange angle to it. And it was just the funniest thing. The Chihuahua was like, oh no, we're not talking about him. He is a very private person. Like, she was like, put the hammer down, like, no, we're not doing that. It was hilarious, because the little girl didn't realize. I mean, we have to have ethics and being. There's some things
we don't do third-party readings either.
Right. And so
third-party
I have to
reading.
be mindful, because the animals can tell me about people, because if it's their dog trainer, if it's where the vet is, if how they're being treated, how they like that, then that is under the housing
Umbrella.
of, yes, we need to know some information about that, but it's not me going into that person's deepest, darkest secrets. No, that's not what I would be doing. But there are times when those things come into play with the animal's life, i.e. trainer, a neighbor, or whatever. So
that
we
makes
look at
sense.
that. Yeah. So
what other stories do you have? Cool stories do you
okay,
have?
well, I have
do
one.
you do much with horses?
I do. I have, I do mostly dogs and cats. That's the predominant amount of animals that come into my work. I do horses. I do quite a few, but it's just very different.
What kind of energy do because Heather and I are both horse people, and
they're amazing. They're truly amazing. I mean, we know cats are amazing, dogs are amazing. A bird is amazing. They're all amazing to me. And each animal is different, and they each bring forth different things. But I will tell you, like one time at an event, again, this was funny how these event things and the animals come up. At an event, there was a horse there that was for the sheriff's posse, and the mounted posse. And so they had one horse there there was a trailer. It had an advert for with all the things that they do for the community. And so the horse was there, and I'm sure I had had a table, but this was after things were closing up. And I walked around and I walked over by the horse, but I didn't come up to the horse. I stood back because I felt it. I felt the energy of like, give me space. Like I don't know. It was not that it was so intentional. It was more like, oh, I think I need to stay right back here. I need to stay back. And
Well,
so
that, you know, those horses, that's kind of what they're used for, to keep, you know, crowd control. So I can
yes,
see that
exactly.
horse
And
knowing
so
its
he didn't
job,
know.
it's in that
He didn't
energy.
know. He didn't know what I was, because everybody had been
Yeah.
petting that horse all day long, right?
Yeah. He's
And
probably sick of
so
it.
I stood there and I said, look, and I did this mentally. I said, look, here's the thing. You're here to be of service. You do serve people and humanity, just like a lot of, this was an animal related event. So search and rescue dogs, things like that, service dogs. There was a lot of that. And I love to do that kind of thing. So I said, I understand you're of service. And I just want you to know, I want to thank you for your service. And
Oh.
it was so weird. I mean, even for me to not, because sometimes we can just go on and do the things we do. And I'm not trying to tune in. I wasn't trying to communicate with him. I just wanted to send him love. I just wanted to send him respect. And when I sent that message about like, thank you for everything you do, and I'm not here to come and pet on you, you know, he looked at me, and then it was as if, okay, so I have to say, I'm a Star Trek fan, right? So, you know,
Me
when they
too.
do the energy, you know, when they be on
Energize.
at the bridge, and they'd have an alien would come and scan them, and the lights would go like that. That's what was happening to me. He was scanning me. And I was like, oh, I felt it. It was like this, like head to toe, head to toe. And then I
Wow.
was like, see, I'm really just going to hang right here. You're a beautiful animal. I thank you. And then he went like this. He goes, and he put his head down. It was so
And
cool.
relaxed.
And he relaxed. And I was like, thank you. And I promise, I'm not here to jack with you, you know? So it was really a lovely thing. And so horses are quite magical, like all animals are. And they have unique abilities. They do scan you. They do know your energy. They know what's up and down and sideways for you. I have people that may call and ask about like the horse, the way they're riding the horse. And then the horse is like, she needs to get herself adjusted. Like she gets me adjusted, but she needs to get adjusted because she's leaning to the right all the time. And they'll go, yeah,
I love that.
so they're very good at
So you don't have a trainer. Your horse is telling you you're doing that.
the horse
wrong.
is helping you, right? And so there's that. And then I do love it when I connect with other species. So sometimes I have to say rats, they're just the best. They're
Really?
yes, they're so smart, so animated most of the time. I mean, from the ones that I've talked to. Used to be in this practice circle with a lady, and she had rats. That was her pet of choice. And I say that lovingly. But they were just
people that have had rats. My daughter
yeah,
had a
yeah.
rat when she was in high
So I
school.
was like, this rat was like, oh, she's it. She is everything to us. And I was like, okay, really? Are you kidding? Now, this doesn't happen very often, but he was showing me like, and I took it as her love for rats, meaning they were circled around her, like she had, which they would have been energetically as well. But I mean, I see like how much you love them. You carry them wherever you go. And she did. But she said, I mean, I see them around your neck, like on a necklace. And she goes, oh, I have a rat necklace. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know. But
I'm
I had little
afraid
rats
I'm
on
not
it.
a rat person.
You know, it's okay. And that's fine. But here's the thing. We have to know that it's their essence of who they are. They are sentient beings. So the outside in many ways doesn't matter. And we can have a phobia, because that's one of the things you learn when you're doing the work is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you don't like the animal, if you don't like the species, if you're afraid of them. It should not be an impediment to opening your heart to
reading
them.
them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm reading heart to heart. So there's you know, there's a friend of mine that it was a snake, a boa constrictor. It was so beautiful. And again, a lot of
That
people
one
are not
would be tough for me.
well,
Snakes
it can
freak
be,
me
but
out.
you would be surprised at how that can work for any person. I had a little class because I do teach this. It's really small scale, but on individuals, I've had, like it's lovely to have 3 or 4 people and do it
Mhm.
over the phone. I absolutely learned everything, all of my classes over the phone. Didn't
Is
have
that right?
computers. It wasn't, we
Wow.
would post questions with photos
Mhm.
on the, what was it, those Yahoo groups, but that used to have a long time ago.
Mhm.
But but we did that, checking in and talking to each other. It was over the phone. And
Can you go back to the boa constrictor? What kind of
I
energy? What does a boa constrictor have to say?
well, you learn with animals to modulate your own energy. Um,
Mhm.
you modulate your they it would be like, how some people, I laugh because I have a couple friends, like they run on rocket fuel. They're busy, 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 and some are more earthy and grounded. So
Mhm.
it's similar for some species that might be a little different vibration, but that doesn't mean they're all like that. Each one is different. But
Sure.
the boa constrictor had very loving, slower energy, very healing energy, which is ironic. I mean, that's what's on the caduceus, the medical symbol,
Mhm.
is serpents. And
Yeah.
so this particular one was very healing, wanted to
Wow.
heal people, wanted to
That's
help
they
heal
are
others.
a symbol of healing. I've seen several snakes
Yeah.
when I've been on shamanic journeys, and it's always
Yes.
in fact, a cobra, and it was about
Yeah.
healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it
We have
really,
a
you
quick
have to set aside, it's kinda like if you're doing anything, you have to set aside your personal
your
whatevers
ego,
with
your ego, your
exactly,
judgment.
and your fear, and your fears.
I would
There was a
definitely
little
have trouble with the fear in with a snake.
yeah. So
That
here's
big.
and that's okay, and that's what we work through, and so here's
Mhm.
what someone did, had a little class that, I had a woman in, and we had photos of animals for them to connect with after they'd been doing some stuff. And she had the photo, and it just felt weird. It was of a goldfish that I had. And
Oh.
she was looking at it, and then had a friend here visiting, and she was helping with all this. And she said, like, I looked at me, and she looked at me, and I looked at her. I was like, there's something off here. And then she had the picture, and then she said, uh, I don't like fish. Like, she was afraid, very, very afraid.
A
And I
picture
said,
of a goldfish.
mhm. And so
Wow.
you have to know that this can be for anyone, any animal,
Yeah,
anything, any circumstance. And I said, well, here's what we're going to do. Put the picture down. You don't need to look at the picture. You don't need a picture to feel an animal's
right.
heart and your energy. And so I said, I want you to just feel her. You've got her name. You know what she looks like, but I don't want you to focus on that she's a fish. I want you to focus on her being a loving being. And
Right.
she sat and she got calm, her breathing calmed down, and then she was like, "Oh," brings tears to my eyes. I mean, she just felt her. I said, "You
Right.
did it. You felt her. You felt her heart because she's a being. She's a loving being, and she wanted to help." And for you to they help, they're teachers. Hello. They're all teachers for us. They teach us so much about our own hearts. They
I
teach
love
us
the way you put it that way.
how
They're teachers and they teach us about our own heart. That's so
yeah.
true.
And they teach us how to love.
And
And
they teach
I'm
us
not
how to
talking
love.
about the love that we have for our own animals. They're teaching us how to love ourselves and love our own hearts because we tend
Wow.
to not do that. We tend to judge ourselves so harshly.
Yeah, we
So,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. We do indeed. Well, we have a question here. Amanda
Okay.
Carroll says, do wild animals communicate with you, Mary Ellen, when you're out and about?
Okay. Well, this is an interesting thing. I will say that a lot, again, animal communicators are lots of flavors and varieties. And because my work has really focused on companion animals, that's when I really revel in that energy. And yet, if I would, yes, absolutely. If I'm outside, just like with that horse that was with the sheriff's posse, I wasn't necessarily trying to, just being open to that animal's message. But they don't just say, "Hey, you," like like that. I don't
Yeah.
like, people will say, "Do you see my animal around me?" No, I don't. I don't know anything about your animal, and I wouldn't unless you asked me and you knew that that was part of this connection, and that you would wanna know, this is the animals, I have your permission. Now, with wild animals, it's different. You don't have to have permission, but you have a great deal of respect and compassion for them. And some animals are much more, some are just kinda like, they're really busy doing what they need to be doing, and I'm not trying to interfere with that. So, but if it's something like, oh my gosh, I love spiders too. I mean, spiders are fantastic. I mean, you can just say, I don't make it complicated. Just to say, tell me about your life as a spider. Tell me about your view of the world, because they do have
That's
worldview, which
amazing.
can't understand. We don't realize that. I mean, heck, people don't even know anything about the world we live in, but they have the knowledge and awareness of their world, of what makes them happy, what makes them feel fulfilled or complete.
Right.
Um, I had a lizard in the barn. It was a wild lizard, and I saw her, and I felt like it was a her, didn't know for sure. And I said, I just want to let you know that I'm going to be very careful with you. I don't want you to get concerned. I'll make sure the horses don't go in the stall, because she was always in the stall at the end on this big wall. And so I was like, I'll make sure that they're not going to step on you. I'll go in there first, and you'll move out of the way, and that way we don't worry about that. But and I
Go
felt,
into a lizard.
yeah,
I
it was
wonder if I
just
could
like,
talk to the iguanas in my
yeah, I haven't ever talked to an iguana, but this was, they call them a spiny tree lizard here, and we have a lot of those here. And so I asked her, I said, well, what is the significance of being here on this wall? And then it was like, because we were talking about stuff that's important to her, she was like, it was a very strategic spot. It was a very strategic area. And I was like, well, show me more. And she was like showing me how she went to the other side. And it was a territory. This was her hunting area. And so
Ah,
because there's a vine on the other side of it where it has flowers and bugs are attracted to it. And that was her hunting area. But I never put the two sides together. She was on the
no.
inside to hang out when she needed to hide and get out of the way from let's say, a bird coming over that might hunt her. And then she could get out of the
Wow.
way. But then that was an opportune place for her to hunt. And that was her area. She didn't want other lizards in her area. She claimed that space. And it was funny because I looked it up, because I thought, because her tail was broken off. This is how I knew her. And so I looked it up, and I was like, oh, the females are larger. They are quite a bit larger
All
than the
right.
males. And I was like, oh, I feel her doing that, and her being very much a part of um, hunting and territory. And this is where I live, and claiming that space. And it
Wow.
was
How
so
big
interesting.
was she?
Probably like that. She
Right.
was
Oh, wow.
they're
Good
large. I
size.
mean, it's like 8 inches long or something. But then later on, all I saw was little baby lizards later in that area.
Oh,
So
wow.
she had her babies. I mean, she'd had laid eggs, obviously. But
Yeah.
anyway, so yes, wild animals I can connect with. It's just choosing your moments. Sometimes I let them be. I'm not just like, oh, it's one bird. Let me talk to that bird and that bird. But again, you can choose, or you
Right.
can ask for a spokesperson for that species.
Right.
Like, I'd like to talk to again, you can call it an oversoul, or you can call it the leader of that particular, like that oversoul would be more um, energetic in
Mhm.
other places and spaces. But if it's in your flock, and if there's a flock of birds, and say, show me the one who's in the lead, who would like to be the spokesperson, and let me feel what you want to convey. Is everything okay for you?
That's fascinating.
Yeah, so but for me, I don't do as much work with wild animals, but what I do is I love, well, the name of my business is It's My Nature. So I love nature. I love flowers and plants and animals and all that stuff. But I love, and rocks, and I love gardening. But I always ask them to show me the coolest things, the most like unusual. Show me that one thing that you would just walk past and wouldn't know it was there. And I had, the other day, it was strange. We had some wind, and I was going out to the corrals where the barn is, and it's a very tall barn. And there is a upper story where they might store hay. And there are birds that roost, doves that roost in there, live in there. But I haven't seen them lately. And I went out one morning and I was like, I know there's something to look at. I know I get a feeling about it. Like, what's nature going to surprise me today? And I was going through a big gate, and I looked and I did a double take, and I was like, what is that? And I thought it was a puffball, those little fungus, like they're like a little mushroom, and that you step on them and the spores go flying everywhere. I was like, it's too cold. It's too early. It was an egg. An egg.
An egg.
Yes. And I'm like, where did it come from? And of course, that's where logic doesn't belong. Because if it did, it was 25 feet up. So how did it land?
Wow.
And not get broken?
That's amazing. How did it land and not get broken?
And and the wind could have caught it, but where is it that it blew? Because there is an opening to the barn, but it's a doorway, but it's not like, I don't know. I didn't know there were nesting. This is really early, birds are starting to do that now. We're pretty early. So like, okay, like that's where you get the mind out of it. And then I had to ask nature, I had to ask guidance, like, what is significant about the egg? And, of course, it's about rebirth. It's about what's going to hatch, what's going to come about. And I was just like, thank you. All you have to do is say thank you. It's more like that. You don't have to.
I really think when you start saying thank you, you get more gifts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You do. And you just go like, I know one example I used was, I got to thinking my horse, like there's horses here and my horse is here, and they get really dirty. They're always apparently they're always rolling. And one day I was out, and I had been thinking, wow, I wonder when they roll, because I never see them rolling in the mud. I mean, they're dirty. I'm like, how?
They're always filthy, but I never catch them doing it.
Yes. Yeah. I was sitting there doing that, pondering that, and I was outside, and my horse, my mare, just plopped down, dropped and rolled. And it was like, thank you. That's amazing. It's just that it's joyfulness. It's that moment. It's I have a friend, we've talked about this a little bit, but glimmer. It's a glimmer.
It's a glimmer. I love glimmers.
It is, because it's that
moment of joy with that
moment of joy. Yes.
Right.
And so it's very important. And I do have whenever finishing, but I have a cat story that was so impactful. I use that every single day. Some of these animals are so spiritual, they all have physical, emotional, mental, spiritual aspects, but some are like master teachers, the masters. And when you get to visit with one, it's mind-blowing,
Okay, I'm going to hang on to that story till next time.
Yes. Okay, good.
We have gone over an hour, and that is fantastic. You did great. I love it when it flows like that. It was beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us and reading people. I didn't even think about reading the chat, but that is fantastic that you could do that. Chat room, thank you so much for all your questions, and we so appreciate you being here today. We are going to do a show on Christ consciousness on Tuesday, and I hope to see you guys then. But thanks for tuning in. Mary Helen's information is in the description of the video, and I noticed that that Sharon posted her website. So if you need your animals read, please, please, please get a hold of Mary Helen. You can see that she really knows what she's talking about. Thanks again for being here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I wanted to say, Jay made a comment about her and spiders, and I had the same kind of agreement with me and bees and the swimming pool.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Till next time. Bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.